Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Mess. So, Terra continuing the series on the MiSTer FPGA DE10 Nano project, and we have some updates to Taki Udon's clone DE10 Nano board. We've done a few videos already, but he's released a lot more details as well as a roadmap where things like a console design, cart reading, and a handheld would slot in. So we're going to take a look at the current goings on with this clone board, show you a lot more details, and talk about how exciting it really is. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor down below, hit like and subscribe, and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. What we showed you last week, Taki Udon on his second channel was showing off the clone DE10 Nano running some of the most popular boards on MiSTer FPGA, so we've now seen it in action. We know it's working, and it's very optimistic that this is going to be an absolutely outstanding product that lets a lot more people get into MiSTer cheaper. He is currently seeming to be rerouting some of the retail version, some of the changes on the power pins and USB header, so what he's shown on camera so far is still pre-production hardware. It's definitely in a development phase, but it seems like it's getting pretty close to a finalized design, kind of just tweaking around the USB and some of the power aspects of the board. But it's great to know that he's going through multiple revisions with his partners, because once this ships, you definitely want it to be in a state where it's just plug and play ready to go, because there's so many different ways to build a MiSTer, so many different ways to power it and deal with USB. It seems like this is going to be USB-C based, so that would be very interesting to see as well, kind of an evolution on the USB side of things. But it's so promising to know that he's got cores running on this, and that it is basically functioning like a Terasic designed and produced DE10 Nano board would. Obviously, once they are available, I want to get it on my test bed, give it a good thorough going through, and make sure that I can say that it's doing exactly what a Terasic board would do. But honestly, at this point in time, there doesn't seem to be any risk that it'll do anything else. And he's talking about other tests he has done as well that he's verified to work, things such as direct video and analog I/O boards, because that's going to be super important. Obviously, MiSTer FPGA with a RetroTink 4K or a more 4K is a ton of fun. It's such a good way to use this hardware. I love the RetroTink 4K side of things with Direct Video Mode 1, and that is important that a clone board would be able to send that data the exact same way, so when you use Direct Video Mode, you're getting the exact same experience. So the fact that that's been tested and verified is awesome, and if you've never tried to put one of these scalers with MiSTer in Direct Video 1 mode, you're definitely missing out, whether you use the RetroTink 4K or something like the Pixel Effects More 4K. Taki Udon has confirmed that the clone DE10 is working over direct video, and that is one of the best new functions of MiSTer in my opinion with these scalers combined. Obviously, analog I/O board support is there. He's tested VGA, SNAC, and 3.5mm audio, and the USB hub is working as well. So with that clone board and an official I/O board from whatever maker you want to grab them from, it seems that the clone board is producing all of the analog signals, at least on the RGB side of things. I would still love to kind of plug in all of the different adapters to make sure they work when the clone board comes out. Something like MiSTer Add-on's YC active converter here, I would want to know that works as well, but I have all the hardware. Once I'm actually able to get a hold of a clone board, I can kind of do all these tests and make sure each and everything is working, because you want that clean RGB video out of your analog I/O, and you need that analog I/O board to work with the clone. It seems like that is 100% buttoned up, and that is a good thing to know. There is a few things that still need to be tested, like real-time clocks as well as the digital I/O board with dual RAM, but honestly dual RAM is becoming less and less important these days. I would assume that it's still going to function on the clone board, but honestly, stuff like the Atari Jaguar are the only things that are really touching dual RAM whatsoever. The Midway core definitely needs it, but it isn't complete and probably will never be completed, so having a dual RAM build these days seems less like a thing you really need to worry about. But if you don't want analog I/O out and you want to expand your RAM for future proofing, then that's something that would be nice to know on the clone board that is functioning, and I'm assuming Taki will update people when he knows more. He's been very forthcoming with all the details. It's been great to see all this information coming in so consistently. He's also been asking people more on the console side of things about the I/O and all of the different connectors on the back and what people might want, talking about composite video out as well as component video out, and of course you have your standard VGA style connector on the back as well. But it's fun to see that he is taking community feedback about the sources that you might want to come out of the back of a console. I for one don't mind adapting the VGA port over to whatever signal I need, but I know other people are just going to want to hook up the component cables right to the back. Now, as far as the roadmap, he has clarified that as well. First, it's the $99 clone board, then it's the flagship console, the handheld, and more of a mainstream console, and then a low-cost cartridge-based MiSTer console. Seeing that there's 6 different products in development. First one going to be the clone board. I think that's the first one that people really want to see and are the most curious about. Don't get me wrong, I want a handheld MiSTer, but a $99 DE10 clone is really where it's going to be at, so that's the one I can't wait to see first. Taki's also talked about some of the pricing on the handheld side of things, $120 versus $150, and that seems to be a very cheap item even at the $150 mark, but that seems to be where they're trying to target things. And honestly, even if this went to $200 with the board inside, I'd rather spend more on a nicer screen than try to keep this as cheap as possible, even if it is nice. But honestly, I am not making it. So that is the roadmap going forward. But of course, they're also talking about cartridge-based MiSTer consoles, and that's something that a lot of people ask me a lot about, because obviously on the Analog Pocket side of things, some of the cores will use original cartridges, and obviously Analog produces consoles that use original cartridges, but on the MiSTer FPGA side of things, it's just not anything that can be done. There is no cartridge reading whatsoever. I personally don't mind that much. I consider MiSTer to be adjacent to my real hardware, but I know a lot of people are curious about that, so it is something on the roadmap, but do be aware that a lot of the cores would have to be worked on to actually be able to understand how to read the cartridges in some way, shape, or form. Now, one of the users talked about the differences between the items and what sort of warranty there would be. And the nice thing is it's going to be apparently a real warranty. This isn't one of those, as Taki says, trust me bro warranties. This should be a real product with a real company backing it. And obviously Taki Udon has a good reputation in the scene, so you really wouldn't expect anything less out of that. But that is important to buyers. Even though this is going to be a $100 item, not a $240 item from Terasic, you still want to know that if anything goes wrong, you have that support system in the background. And this is just him testing some of the RAM latency, which is going to be a product as well that they are going to be delivering. So that is a good thing to know, that there's going to be a warranty, because if you get something from somebody like MiSTer Add-ons or Terasic, you know if something goes wrong with the hardware, they are going to take care of you and support you, and that's what the scene needs more of. Companies doing these great things of making it cheaper for everyone to get involved, and then doing the aftercare support for the items that they are making. So if you do have a problem, you have an easy way to contact somebody. They will troubleshoot and diagnose the issue with you, and if the hardware has failed within the warranty period, you should be taken care of. And that's a lot of what people like about projects that do have a company behind them. They know that their dollars are protected with somebody who will take care of them if a problem does arise. And again, the last things that need to be tested are just that real-time clock, which not many people use whatsoever, and then the dual RAM board. But you'll see here the full stack with an IO on top seems to be working on Taki Udon's setup, so that is a very promising thing for the clone DE10 Nano. And again, this is just exciting. I know a lot of you watch the MiSTer videos, but you haven't yet gotten into the ecosystem, because I get it, around $500 is not a cheap thing whatsoever. So if you're able to grab a $99 DE10 Nano clone and then add on stuff for people like MiSTer Add-ons on the top and the bottom as far as the hub and IO are concerned, you could do this for a lot cheaper. And honestly, I wish MiSTer was free so each and every one of you could have one. It just isn't. But those are the current updates on the clone board. Next time we get another batch of information, I will definitely cover it on the channel. But we are done. Hope you're enjoying your day. Keep tuned for more details, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.